Hey, this is Nev Lapper from Snowboard Addiction. We are live streaming right now for our weekly live training session. How this works is customers of Snowboard Addiction come on with me and they basically train for snowboarding. We're getting close to the 2026 season coming up, 2025, 2026 winter. So we're doing these live every Tuesday, 5 p.m. on the West Coast, so 5 p.m. Pacific time and 8 p.m. on the East Coast, so it's the same time. And what this is, it's a time where you guys can get live advice from someone very experienced at snowboarding who's been snowboarding most of their life. Now, we quite often get on the Snowboard Addiction training gear to do this, but you can do it on any gear. You can be no gear at all. You can be just on your feet. You can be on your real snowboard, or if you have our training gear, that's the best. Whatever works, just jump along with us with whatever we're training. And it works sequentially. So today's session is basically on body positions and 50-50. So today's the most basic session. And if you miss a session, you can always go back and watch last week's session, etc. So you can kind of build your skills along with us. So today we're really going to be focusing on some basic fundamentals, and it will get harder and harder each week as we go through this system. Got a couple of our regulars with us today. We got Dean in the house, Elijah. Chris is driving home right now, so you can't see him. He's going to join us if he gets home, when he gets home. And if any of you guys are watching us on YouTube, you're welcome to join us as well. It's on addictionplus.tv, where you can become a member of Addiction Plus. Anyway, let's get into it. So I'm just going to unpin myself here so I can see Dean and Elijah as well. We're going to start talking about some real basics, about basic body positions in snowboarding. Now, I assume you guys can hear me. Chris, Elijah, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, no problem. Sweet. I'm on wireless mics here. Sometimes they go in and out. I'm on the Snowboard Addiction Jib Board here. Now, you can be on your full-size snowboard, no problem at all, or you can just be standing there. First thing I want to talk about is the basic body positions of snowboarding. So when you see me standing here, I'm flexing into my knees right now. I'm flexing into my ankles. My hips are directly in between my feet, okay? My upper body, my midsection, and my lower body are all lined up with the board. So what I mean by that is if I'm regular, which I am, right now, the only thing really facing forward is my head. The rest of my body is lined up with my board. And why I do that is that gives you a stronger position, a more balanced position on a snowboard. So the opposite to that, which is also quite common, is you'll see people ride like this a lot. You'll see people ride in this open position where their chest is almost facing open, okay? Now, if you see people snowboarding like that, that is actually less of an ideal position. It's much more like balanced for you to be able to ride like this, where your upper body and lower body are in line, and your head is basically the only thing twisted in the direction. So to give you an example, if I turn back here, the only difference between me riding regular and goofy predominantly is my head. So you'll see this is me riding regular, and this is me riding goofy. Now, you might see my upper body twist a little bit during that. That's fine. You know, if I'm riding regular, it's okay to have your body a little bit open. Same thing if you're riding switch, but you don't want to be riding like this. If you ride in this really open position and you hit a bump, it can throw you off balance really quick. So if you're riding fast and hard and like variable terrain, you're going to be much more balanced if your upper body and lower body are in line. Okay. Now, my head and my back are mostly upright. Now, I want you to look at my lower body right now. As I go up and down, you'll notice that my upper body, my back, is mostly straight. Now, when I say mostly straight, you can bend over a little bit, but I'm not doing that. I'm not bending over like this, okay? If you bend over too much, that's another thing in snowboarding that can throw you off balance. So if you ever see anyone cruising around and you can kind of see they're really bent over, that's a compromised position. A much better way of bending over is to bend with your knees and ankles. So you'll see if you look at my knees and ankles right now, look at my knees and ankles, how they're flexing forward, okay? Now I'm going to show you another position with knees and ankles that is the incorrect position. Some people will say, oh yeah, you bend your knees to get low, but you don't bend your knees like this. See that? That's bending my knees, and what happens is my butt was going way out this way. Now, if you see anybody snowboarding and their butt looks like it's sticking out, and this is very common, I see it all the time, butt sticking out is not balanced because what it does, it puts too much weight on your heel edge. okay? So how do you avoid a butt sticking out? Is you actually push your knees forward and hips. See on my hips? So if I go back to a bad position and I move my knees and hips forward, you'll see what that did is it straightened out my back straight away. It kept my back up straight and my head up straight. And now I can bend into my knees and ankles and use a lot of suspension through my legs without having to lean over, okay? If you ever find yourself touching the snow in front of you, that's actually not a good thing, okay? You don't want to be, that means that you're probably far too much bent over. And this is another common problem I see, is I see people bending over too much, I see people's butts sticking out too much, and I see people's upper body open too much, okay? So really pay attention to how my upper back and my back and my head can stay mostly upright, and it's because my knees are going forward. Now, that knees forward motion allows you to be able to ride through bumpy terrain, take off jumps, land jumps, absorb anything that comes at you without being thrown off balance. Having that upper body in line with the lower body, same thing. You can think about having your front hand out over the nose of your board and your back hand out over the tail of your board. If you have that back hand over the tail, front hand over the nose, that's going to line up that upper body, okay? Cool. Now, another thing I wanted to say is that if you bend over too much, this can put the weight of your body too much over your toe edge. So you'll see right now it's really easy to lift my heels because I'm bending over too much. If I stick my butt out too much, I can lift up my toes really easily because my weight is too far over the heel edge. Now on a snowboard, you want to make sure that your weight is centered between your toe and heel edge. If you're centered between the toe and heel edge, that's going to make you the most balanced position for when you're snowboarding. That means you're going to fall less, you're going to be more stable, you're going to be able to learn quicker, and you're going to improve your snowboarding a lot quicker. So not only do you have to be centered forward back, so you'll see my hips right now are between my legs. If your hips are too far towards the tail, that's off balance. If your hips are too far towards the nose, that's off balance. Now, as you get better at snowboarding, you're dynamically going to be changing all the time. You will be changing for all sorts of moves. But the ideal position for most of your riding, and I'm talking about groomed slopes, normal groomed slopes, is to be having your weight in the center of your board this way and the center of your board this way. Centered is balanced. Okay. Now, before we start doing some exercises, I want to talk a little bit about stance. I know this one, Dean, Elijah, it's probably a bit of a boring one. First one of the series, so it's not too much jumping around yet, but I'll get you jumping around in a sec, okay? But before I get you jumping around, I want to talk about stance, okay? There's tons of different stances in snowboarding, okay? Now, I'm going to talk about what I use as a stance and what I recommend if you don't know what you want. And a lot of the stuff I talk about is for freestyle snowboarding. When I say freestyle snowboarding, basic jump tricks, basic park tricks, being able to ride regular and switch, buttering tricks. This is, I'd say freestyle snowboarding is the most common form of snowboarding. And so it's the ability to be able to do all of the tricks at a basic level, which I think most people who are snowboarding want to be able to do. Okay. Now, what I use in my stance is called a duck foot. Duck foot stance means that your front foot is facing slightly forward and your back foot is facing slightly back. So it basically means that both your feet, instead of being straight, they're angled out like this, which is a very natural feeling way to stand. Now, what that also does is a duck-footed stance makes it much easier to ride both forwards and backwards, which we would call, for me, regular and switch, or you could call it regular and goofy, or you could call it goofy and switch. Basically, if you ride with your left foot forward predominantly, that means you ride regular. If you ride with your right foot forward predominantly, that means you ride goofy, okay? And then backwards is switch of either of those. Now, to give you an idea of what my angles are very neutral. And the reason my angles are neutral is because I like to be able to ride backwards, switch, as much as I ride normal. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I like to do that. riding both regular and goofy or regular and switch makes you a very well-rounded rider. It also opens up a lot of snowboarding for you, such as buttering tricks, jibbing tricks, spinning tricks. For example, if you want to learn how to do 180s, you're going to be taking off in one direction and you're going to be landing switch. So you need to be able to land switch. Having an even stance makes it much easier to do that. For example, if you were to ride what's called posi-posi, which means that both of your front feet are in a positive direction, nothing wrong with posi-posi at all, but it makes it very awkward to ride switch. So if all you want to do is ride one direction and one direction only, and you like ripping, carving high speeds, maybe posi-posi is fine for you. But if you want to be able to ride switch and do a bunch of these buttering tricks and stuff, duck foot is, I recommend, a slightly better stance, a more well-rounded stance. Now, my angles are at 12-12. 12-12 is about as neutral as you can go. What that means is 12 degrees forward on the front foot, 12 degrees backwards on the back foot. Now, if you decide you like 9 degrees better or you like 15 degrees better, you might like, maybe you like 15 on the front foot and -9 on the back. I used to ride like that. Maybe you like, 15-15. This is up to you. And the more you practice and play with your stance, you'll get a feel of what you like. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of things that will help determine it. And I talked already about how you're bending your knees. You're bending your knees forward in snowboarding. One thing you want to look at is as you bend your knees, and you guys, Dean and Elijah, have a look down, is ideally you want your knee to be bending over those toes. So if there's an alignment of your knee over your toe, what that means is that's a stronger position in your leg. So when you bend down, if there's not an alignment, I'm going to show you a very overemphasized example, but if I was to bend down like this, that there is not bending over my toes. Now, if your leg is not bending over your toes, and you get into a more extreme example, such as absorbing a very big jump, you're more likely to get injured. If you keep your knees over your toe, you've got a more alignment through your bone structure and your muscle structure of your leg. It's going to keep it stronger. It's going to be less likely to get injured. So as you're standing here, just flex out, flex around, Even if you're at 9 and 15, that's fine. That's fine. But look at where your knees are in relation to your toe, okay? Because predominantly, if that knee is going out over your toe, that's going to be a safe, strong movement for your leg. Okay. Let me have a look at you guys. So Dean, I just want to have a look. Turn 90 degrees to face me. And now let me see you flexing into your knees. Flexing into your knees. There we go. So your knees, for example, flex out a little bit wider than mine. Okay. So I can see that. Now that might mean to you that maybe 15-15 is a more stance that feels better for you. Okay. And so, but again, that comes down to different people's bodies, how they move, etc. But I could see straight away when I looked at you, do it again. I can see that your knees moved out quite wide. Now, don't focus so much on dropping your butt down. Focus more on pushing those knees forward and even those hips forward. Knees and hips forward. Okay, that's better. Yep, knees and hips forward. Yep. Now, this is a very different movement to what people are used to in the gym. Because in the gym, people are used to that squat position where you're really trying to get your bum down. That is not what we're doing on snowboarding. You see that there, what you're doing there? That's more of a gym squat where you're getting that bum down. That's not how you squat on a snowboard. On a snowboard, it's the knees forward and it's less squat. Your bum doesn't need to go down that far. That's actually still a little bit too far. There we go. That's better. Yeah, don't go any further down than that. Keep that back up, that head up. You want to be able to see where you're going. You want to stay balanced over the board. Elijah, I want to see you there. Let me see you bend into your knees. Okay, so Elijah's actually got full-size snowboard on and his actual snowboard boots. Every training session we do, Elijah typically shows up on his real snowboard. That's totally fine. You guys can also show up on your real snowboard. Dean has our Jib Board and balance bar. Okay, so Elijah looks pretty smooth there. What stance are you on? Is it easy for you to open up your mic?
I have 12 in the front and 9 in the rear.
Okay, and is that what you were riding last season?
Yeah.
Okay, and does that feel pretty good to you?
To me, it does. Yeah.
And do you ride a lot of switch?
Probably at least 2 or 3 runs a day. Try to.
Good. That's a good amount. Now, the better you want to get at freestyle, the more switch you got to ride. So
Yeah.
if you want to be really strong in freestyle, ride more and more switch. But it should be comfortable for you guys. So if 9-12 feels great for you, perfect. Now, as you're bending in, is your knee staying over your toe? Yep, that's the important thing. I mean, that's a really important, comfy movement. Okay. Now, I want to talk about angle, width of stance. Width of stance. So a typical width of stance is going to be around 20 to 22 inches. That's a very typical. When I say typical, I'm talking about the average height of a adult male. So to give you a bit of reference, I'm 5'9", 5'9". It's about 1 meter 75 centimeters, and I ride 21.5 inch width. Now, width on snowboard stances seems to all be measured in inches. And a lot of the time they have it written on the snowboard what the reference stance is. So if you look at your snowboard, it might say what the reference is. And the reference stance is normally about somewhere between 20 to 22 inches, depending on the length of your snowboard. If you're taller, you're probably going to be a little bit wider. If you're shorter, you're probably going to be a little bit thinner in your stance. If you don't know what to do and you've got no idea, just go with about 21 inches and see how it feels. Again, you don't want a stance that's too thin and you don't want a stance that's too wide. If you have your stance too thin, you're going to have a lot of movement ability, but you're going to have less stability. If you have your stance too wide, you're actually going to find, oh my God, it's actually kind of hard to move because my stance is really wide. But you'll also find that, wow, I feel so balanced because you've got this big wide platform between your legs. So you're like, I feel so stable, but I'm having trouble to move. So you've got to get that middle ground somewhere, which means that when I say middle ground, I'm able to move my knees, my hips, my feet, my back. I'm able to move everything and use a lot of dynamic movement because as you get better at snowboarding, you're going to be using a lot of dynamic movement in your body. Okay. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to get into some exercises to help play with your balance. So grab a balance bar. I know, Dean, you've got one. And I think you've got a homemade version there, Elijah. And we're going to start out practicing some different movements around 50-50s. And the reason we're doing this is because a lot of this 50-50 stuff is very much basic body position. First thing I want you to do is I want you to jump all the way over the bar. So go jump all the way over the bar. And then 180 and jump all the way back. 180. Okay. So we're just getting a feel of what it feels like. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to jump up into a 50-50 position. Jump up into a 50-50 position on the bar. Okay. Now in this 50 position, I want you to see if you can do this. Jump and re-land on the bar. Jump and re-land on the bar. There we go. Now, if you're falling off right now, it means that something was slightly off in your balance position. So if you're falling off right now, maybe let's check out what edge you fell off on. Now, Dean, I can actually see, it might be hard for you to see, but it looks like your weight might be slightly towards your toe edge of your board. So, I mean, let's have a look. You haven't fallen off, so that's okay. Okay, jump again. There we go. There we go. Good, looking good. Actually, it looks pretty smooth. Okay, head towards me because then you're in that kind of snowboard stance. So it's almost like chin to shoulder. Upper body, lower body aligned. And if you guys are watching this at home and you're falling off one side, you got to look, what am I doing? Are you bending over too much? If you bend over, that will help you, that will cause you to fall off. If you bend too far into stick your butt out, that again can be falling off. Now, I know that Dean and Elijah have done a bunch of these sessions with me, so they're probably feeling pretty balanced. What I want you guys to do now is we're going to add a bit of front side movement onto the 50-50. So in snowboarding, this would be called a front side 50-50, where you're jumping up into a rail or a box, and you've got that little bit of lateral movement. So here we go. Front side 50-50 and back off. Good. And now one thing to pay attention to is how noisy is it for you? Now, I can see you guys are absorbing it really well, but I'm going to give you an example of a bad one. So what I just did was I'm really like smashing into it. Now, on a snowboard, the smoother you can get onto any feature, the easier it's going to be. So the difference in it now is if I go up and go, I absorbed it with my knees. So jumping into that frontside 50-50 and absorbed it with my knees. So by pushing my knees forward, my upper body is mostly up on top of that rail. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to try and do it from the back side. So what I mean by the back side is the rail now is behind me. Okay. Now with the rail behind me, I'm going to be jumping a little backside movement. And you'll see there, I did not jump far enough. So if you're not able to balance on it, you got to see, are you jumping too far or are you not jumping far enough? There we go. Backside 50-50, coming back off. Backside 50-50, coming back off. Okay, now this time I'm going to go backside 50-50. I'm going to go all the way off on purpose because I'm going to give another challenge here on the front side 50-50. So now I've already seen you doing this, Dean, so you're already ahead of the pack here, but we're going to jump up now. We're going to do 3 small jumps. So I'm going to go front side 50-50, 1, 2, 3, and off. 3 small jumps. Now you'll see that Elijah didn't quite make his 3 jumps. So there he goes. Elijah, I think you can even do it quicker. You can get up and do those 3 jumps quicker. I'm watching you up in the corner. There we go, because I'm trying to put you off balance to see what can we improve. I'm going to do it one more time. 3 jumps. I'm trying to see, is there something in your body that we can improve? And Elijah, I've noticed a tiny bit, you're leaning over just a little. If you push those hips forward, it'll keep that back up straight. There we go. There we go. Now you'll also notice Elijah's on a thinner rail than us. We're going to add the thinner rail in a sec, Dean. I'm going to make it harder on you. Before we do that, backside 50-50, 3 jumps. I think I only did 2, but it's okay. There we go. Now, for anyone watching, we call this the WTP rail extension. Basically, the black base piece is for learning something for the first time. Once you're comfortable with the first time, you want to make it harder on yourself. The harder you make it here, the more realistic it's going to be on the mountain, the more that's going to translate for you. So when we add this top piece, 2 things happen. 1, it's a bit higher off the ground, so you actually have to jump higher. But 2, there's a lot less surface area. It's rounded top now. So you're going to have to balance a lot more. If you find that your legs start shaking or you're getting more sweaty or you're falling off more, that's good. That's what you want. You want to challenge yourself here. The harder you make it here, when you actually go on the mountain, your muscles are just going to respond. They're going to be like, I know what I'm doing. I've done this a bunch. I know what to expect. I know what it feels like to land on a rail. I know what it feels like to balance on a rail. Your muscles are reacting. So we're going to start off with a frontside 50-50. So don't need to jump yet. We're just going to jump up 50-50 and then jump back off. Now, I was not super balanced. I could have been a lot better than that. Frontside 50-50. There we go. It's way harder to stay up. So the first thing you can start doing is challenge yourself. How long can you stay up? Can you hold it for 2 or 3 seconds? So let's see. Not super good. I want to see if I can get longer. There we go. There we go. And you'll see when I get that good hold straight away, my muscles started reacting. They're like, okay, we got to hold this together. I can see Dean. I can see it when you're up there. You're like, okay, I've got to hold it. You're building that position. And the thing is when you go and do this on a mountain, on a snowboard, you want those legs to be ready for it already. You want them to be trained so that you're not learning on the mountain. You've done the learning. You've done the learning. Okay. I'm going to make it harder. We're going to see if we can do up and another jump and rebalance. Up and another jump and rebalance. Key point here, give yourself lots of room. Give yourself I've got enough room where I am here, but even more would be better. I really don't want you guys smashing into walls or anything. So give yourself as much room as you can. Outside is great, or a big living room, etc. So I'm going to go up 50-50. I'm going to try to re-jump and land 50-50. There we go. You do it as many times as you need to. The longer you can hold it, the better. I'm going to see if I can get that slightly longer hold. Here we go. That was the best one I've done so far on that. Front side 50-50 on the rail simulator, feeling it out what it's like. Another little pop. Okay. Now we're going to move all the way over to backside. And I'm going to jump up backside 50-50. So same thing for you, Elijah. Nice 180 in there. Backside 50-50 in to your, backside into 50-50. Okay. Now backside is generally a little bit harder than frontside just because it's behind you. It's not necessarily harder in real life. It's just that little bit more uncomfortable feeling jumping this direction than it is the forwards direction. So here we go. Backside 50-50. Backside. And I got a good hold on that one. When you feel that you get a good hold, it's because you're right in the center. If it's right in the center of your board and your muscles are well trained, you can hold it for a long time. If you're falling off quickly, it generally means one of two things. Either you're not central on your board, or two, there's something off in your body position. So being able to hold a 50-50 for quite a long time on here generally means that you've got a good, strong body position. Upper body, lower body aligned. Back up, head up. Weight in the center of your board. You know, you can think about front hand over the front of the nose of your board, back hand over the tail of your board, head turn in the direction that you want to go. So here I go, backside 50-50. Try another one. Backside 50-50. I'm going to go in again, backside 50-50. There we go. That was a slightly longer one there, which was good. Now I'm going to try and get a couple of jumps. So I'm going to go backside 50-50, re-jump. Backside 50-50, re-jump. So I got 2 jumps on that one. See if I can get a better one. That was kind of a cheat one. Wasn't super good. There we go. Backside 50-50, 2 jumps. Okay. All right. I'm coming in to watch you. Elijah, let's see backside 50-50 with a re-jump. Nice. Okay. Backside 50-50, re-jump. Good. Nice. Double re-jump. I like it. Awesome. Dean, watching you. Nice. Too easy. Showing me up. Okay, so Dean and Elijah, do you guys have any questions of body position, stance aspects, or anything to do with 50-50s that you want to ask? I can't hear you yet, Dean. It's on mute still. Huh, maybe I can unmute you. Let me see. Okay.
Oh, there we go. Now,
Yep.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Ah, beauty. I was just trying to ask on the training board, the Snowboard Addiction training board, is the distance, the stance, a little bit shorter than on a normal board? I measured it. I got like 20.5. Not sure if I'm measuring it right.
Yeah, so it really depends on, you can adjust it to whatever stance you want.
Yeah.
So our reference stance on these training boards is 20.5.
Ah.
But if you have a wider one on your snowboard, you can adjust it on these to match what your snowboard stance is.
Yeah, I think I just put it on reference without realizing that that was smaller than the reference on my real board. I just assumed I got the same reference. Yeah.
Oh, the reference on a real board will depend on the length of the board.
Yeah. I
So
rode a much wider board than this, a longer board than this.
Yeah, so how tall are you?
6 foot.
Yeah, because you're 3 inches taller than me, you're
Yeah.
probably going to ride a slightly wider stance. I would try 22 inches
Yeah, I will.
and see how that feels. Now, just because you're tall doesn't mean you have to ride a wider stance either. It really comes down to what you feel comfortable with. But I would say about 22 inches is probably going to be ballpark in the range of a good range for you.
Thank you.
Chris, looks like you just joined us. I know you were running home from work. I can't see your head, but it doesn't matter. We were practicing 50-50s. Let me see you jump up into 50-50 and then re-jump a few times.
Ooh, I got one there.
Now, Chris has been on a bunch of our sessions as well, so he's done a bunch of training already. The thing we're doing right now, if it's your first time doing it, it'll be more challenging than you think. All the guys in our session today have been in my sessions before, so if you're like, why can't I do this?
Yeah. I'm
Just stick in there and do more sessions with me.
I'm also doing this switch, so it's a little bit more challenging for me.
That's a good way of challenging yourself, especially when it's an easy session. Like today's an easy session, it's the first one. So just by standing in your switch stance, moving your head to like look goofy and just feeling that out is actually a good thing to do. When I'm snowboarding, I force myself to do switch 50-50s. It feels awkward as hell. It is like a really awkward thing to do a switch 50-50. I force myself to do it on purpose, and you guys should too, especially on easy features. You got a nice easy box, force yourself, switch 50-50. Okay, Chris, I'm watching you.
Couldn't sit on longer, but
That looked pretty good. That looked pretty good. Backside 50-50. Okay, you got it a little bit better. You got it. Another one, backside 50-50. There's a switch backside 50-50. That's better. You're more central on that. So that one there, you were way more central. I could see it. You were right on the top. Your board was flat. That's what you want. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Elijah, do you have any questions about your stance?
I don't think so, but like you
Cool.
said, switch 50-50s for me on snow is like so hard.
Super hard.
Yeah,
Super
I
hard.
slip out so many times, like on little turbo tubes and stuff. It's terrible.
Now, is there a particular way that you're slipping out? Like, are you slipping out towards the heel side of the board, towards the toe side of the board?
I slip out like towards the toe side. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're slipping out towards the toe side, and I'm making an assumption here, I've got a feeling maybe when you're doing it switch, you might be leaning forward too much.
I'm probably hinged over at the waist because I'm not so used to doing it switch. So that's probably a major issue with it, probably.
Because like if you're hinged over, your weight's going to be towards the toe edge. It's going to force your body to go off that side of the feature. Now that's just an assumption without seeing it on video. But there's always only two things that could be wrong. One is that you may not have been on the center part of your board, or two, there's something going wrong with your body position. So one of the easiest ways to do it is if you take a video and show me, I can always be like, oh, I can see what went wrong.
Yeah, we'll get some this winter.
Now, for anyone who has never done a 50-50 or has never done a switch 50-50, there's a really good technique you can do on the mountain, and it is riding with a completely flat base on the snow. So when you're normally snowboarding, you're usually using the heel edge or the toe edge of your board. There's not a lot of times where you're riding completely flat base, but when it comes to rails and boxes, completely flat base is what you want to do. So on the mountain, you can actually practice riding with a completely flat base. Now, if your body position is off, it's going to feel catchy. What that means is you're going to feel like an edge is catching in the snow. If your body position is perfect and you ride with the full line of the mountain, you can ride completely flat base. And it's a really good technique before you go and do 50-50s on a box. We have a video on this. If you go on the Addiction Plus membership or on YouTube and you search Snowboard Addiction riding with a flat base, it will bring up that video and we just do like a whole session on just riding as long as you can, completely flat base. That is the perfect way to practice for your first 50-50s, and it's also a great way to practice for your switch 50-50s. If you're getting catchy, it means something's off with your direction of your board or your body position. Chris, do you have any questions on body position or stance or 50-50s?
No, it's really just all about experimenting and finding what's good for whatever riding you're going to be doing. So, yeah.
100%. 100%. Okay, cool. So these live sessions, guys, I'm going to be doing them every Tuesday, especially as we come into the season. We're doing them at 5 p.m. Pacific time, which is 8 p.m. East Coast time. Come and join us. They're also live streamed on YouTube so people can find out about us. And at the end of these live sessions, we quite often will go and analyze things that people want to know. So for example, if you're on a live session, you've got a question about a 360 or a 180 or something you really want to know, it's your chance to ask me and we can dig into that and build on that. We also sometimes will do video analysis if people want to really dig into a specific clip. We have a video analysis feature that you can send clips and I'll review it and send it back to you. But I also give the opportunity to do it here in case anyone wanted to interact with me and really dig deep on questions. This session is a very basic one, all about balance and 50-50s. Next week on Tuesday, we're going to be going into shifties and board slides. So it's going to be talking about counter rotation and how to use that for tricks called shifties on jumps and board slides on rails and boxes. Same time next week, and I hope you guys join us. I'm going to stop the live stream now, but I'll hang around if anyone has any additional questions. This is Neville Atwood from Snowboard Addiction. Our goal is to improve your